Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Just Law on IQRA TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia. This is the second part to the show. Just before our break, we were looking at how somebody in the United Kingdom who's married abroad, how they can make a successful spouse application, successful immigration application for their husband or wife to come to the United Kingdom. And in particular, in today's show, we were looking at the financial requirement which needs to be met, the 18,600 requirement. How can you meet that requirement? And what I was demonstrating or speaking about was that the three key documents that you need to submit: your wage slips, your bank statements, and your employer's letter. So they're the key documents when you're making a spouse application in, and we're looking at the financial requirement of 18,600 per annum. Let's look at that in greater detail. So what I was saying was, if you're earning money on a monthly basis, you will need to submit 6 months of wage slips. If you're working on a weekly and getting paid on a weekly basis, you will need to submit 26 weeks of wage slips. And if you're getting paid every 4 weeks, which does obviously happen, it may not be monthly, you might be getting paid every 4 weeks, which is fine, but you will then need to submit not 6 weeks, but not 6 wage slips, but you will need to submit 7 wage slips to cover the whole 6-month period and a little extra. So that's what we were looking at just before the break. So the requirement is that you need to have earned at the required level 18,600 throughout the 6-month period, which is fine. You need to look at your wage slips carefully because you could be paid in one of two ways. You could be a salaried employee where your income is fixed, or you could be a non-salaried employee. For example, those who work in factories may get paid depending on the hours that they work. So if you work 40 hours a week, you get paid for 40 hours. Some weeks you might be busier, you might work 44 hours a week, and in which case it's worked out on the basis that you worked 44 hours. So the pay is variable based on the hours that you work. So even something as simple as wage slips, it's broken down into salaried and non-salaried employment. Both those different categories have different rules which apply. Let's take a very basic example. Let's say you're in salaried employment where your salary is fixed. Now, if that's the case, if your income drops below the required amount at any stage during the 6-month period, it could be a problem. So you could be earning, let's say, £20,000 a year, but there comes a month when you take unpaid leave. That's going to be a problem for you because that may result in your salary dropping because you're in salaried employment and you've got a wage slips which it falls below the required amount. That can cause problems for you. To some extent, it's easier where you are in non-salaried employment, where your income fluctuates, because it doesn't really matter if your income, weekly income or monthly income, if it dips in a month and is quite low, it doesn't matter. You can still make up for it over the 6-month period. So you could have a month, for example, where you earn £2,000 a month. You could have another month where you only earn £1,000 a month because you've worked less hours. It's not a problem that your employment has resulted in your income dipping in a particular month, because you're allowed to look at the average. So even something as simple as your wage slips and your 6 monthly wage slips and your income over 6 months can be problematic. You need to be careful about what kind of employment you've got, especially where your income is dropping during the 6-month period. You need to be careful about whether you still meet the immigration rules or not, even in that situation. So that's one of the first things that you need to bear in mind. Something else you need to bear in mind, which is that in terms of your wage slips, obviously at the bottom, normally in the right hand corner, you'll have what the net pay is for that particular month, for that particular week. You need to make sure that is the amount that goes into your bank account. So there can't be a discrepancy between what your wage slip says is your net pay and the amount of money which is being transferred into your bank account. Even if there's a discrepancy of a couple of pence, the Home Office can still refuse your application on the basis that they can't be satisfied that you are in the employment as you claim, because your income isn't corroborated by what is going into your bank account. So the second thing you must bear in mind is that the amount in terms of your net pay has to match what is going into your bank account. Just on that point, you still have employees who are paid in cash. May happen in the retail sector. In itself, that isn't a problem. You can still be paid in cash. However, if you are paid in cash, you must make sure that that money is deposited into your bank account properly and it matches the amount of money which is as stated in your wage slip. So cash wages isn't a problem. There's nothing dodgy about that. It's absolutely fine. It's still accepted. Nothing illegal about that. But you must make sure that your money goes into your bank, even if it means physically you're going to the bank depositing your wages. You must deposit exactly the amount which is on your net pay. So that's the key point about your wages. The money as stated on your wage slips must be the amount of money going into your bank account. If there's a problem, if it doesn't match up, the likelihood is if you submit those kind of wage slips in support of your husband or wife's application, your application is likely to be refused. Now, what else do you need to bear in mind? One of the other key points is that the rules generally require that the documents that you submit aren't too old. Generally speaking, the documents can't be more than 28 days old. So, for example, somebody who is applying in mid-October, if they've got the papers ready, somebody who's applying in mid-October, they must make sure that the wage slips that they submit are at the very least up to date, up to at least around mid-September, and ensure that those documents are not more than 28 days old. So what you can't do, somebody who decides to make a spouse application, let's say in the middle of October, what they can't do is submit wage slips up to the end of August. That would mean that by the time the application has been submitted, the documents, in particular wage slips, are more than 28 days old. So that in itself can lead to your application being refused. Very common to see that happen as well. So make sure you're earning the right amount of money over the period of 6 months. If your wage slips are falling below the required amount, take advice on whether it's still sufficient. Make sure whatever's on the wage slip is going into your bank account. That's key as well. Let's take our next call before we return to this. Hello, अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
हेलो वालेकुम. मैं यूरोपियन सिटीजन हूँ
जी जी.
तो मैं इधर तकरीबन 18 साल से रह रहा हूँ. तो मैंने अप्लाई किया था तो मुझको इंडेफिनिटिव लीव मिल गया.
जी ठीक है जी.
ये तो अभी मुझको पता करना है कि अभी मैं सिटीजनशिप के लिए कब अप्लाई कर सकता हूँ.
जी. तो आपके पास अभी यूरोपियन पासपोर्ट है ना, और आपके पास इंडेफिनिट है.
जी
जी. तो आपका जो वाइफ है, तो वाइफ की पासपोर्ट क्या है?
उसका भी यूरोपियन है.
यूरोपियन पासपोर्ट है. जी ठीक है. बिकॉज आप दोनों के पास यूरोपियन पासपोर्ट है, तो आपके लिए ये रूल है कि आपको 1 मंथ के लिए वेट करना, 1 ईयर के लिए वेट करना पड़ेगा. सो जब आपका इंडेफिनिट आपको मिल गया, वो डेट से आपको 1 ईयर वेट करना पड़ेगा. अगर आपके अगर किसी का पार्टनर के पास ब्रिटिश पासपोर्ट है, तो उसको वेट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जिसका हस्बैंड वाइफ के पास ब्रिटिश पासपोर्ट है, तो अगर वो बंदे के पास यूरोपियन है, इंडियन है, पाकिस्तानी है, इट डजंट मैटर, बिकॉज उसका जो हस्बैंड या वाइफ है उसके पास ब्रिटिश पासपोर्ट है. तो जैसे भी उसको इंडेफिनिट मिलेगा वो अभी अप्लाई कर सकेगा. उसके रूल्स बिल्कुल डिफरेंट होते हैं.
जी.
मगर आपके जो सिचुएशन है वो आप दोनों के पास यूरोपियन पासपोर्ट से, तो इसमें सिर्फ ये है कि आपको 1 ईयर वेट करना पड़ेगा. इसमें there's only one way around it कि अगर आपकी वाइफ जो है तो अगर उसके पास भी इंडेफिनेट 1 साल से है, more than 1 year, तो वो ब्रिटिश पासपोर्ट पहले बना ले. जैसे भी उसकी ब्रिटिश पासपोर्ट बन जाएगी तो आप यू विल अप्लाई एज द पार्टनर ऑफ अ ब्रिटिश सिटीजन. तो फिर आपको 1 ईयर का वेट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं होती है.
देखिए हमने अप्लाई किया था तो मेरा आ गया, मगर उसका अभी तक नहीं आया क्योंकि हमने सेम डे अप्लाई किया था, मगर वो क्या नंबर बहुत फिर आगे चले जाता है नहीं.
जी 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 जी
जी क्योंकि सेम डे अप्लाई किया था मगर उसका आगे चला गया. हमने वो क्या कहते हैं मोबाइल से किया था.
जी जी जी. तो इसमें सिर्फ ये था कि आपने जो EU सेटलमेंट स्कीम में किया था ना, तो EU सेटलमेंट स्कीम में किया है कि आपको फिर जो डेट देते हैं ना कि आपको हमने इंडेफिनेट दे दिया, तो वो डेट से आपको 1 ईयर वेट करना पड़ता है.
1 ईयर.
जो पुरानी जो स्कीम थी ना, नॉट द EU सेटलमेंट स्कीम, जो फॉर्म फिल करके बेचते थे 65 पाउंड फी आते, इसमें एडवांटेज क्या था कि जब वो आपको इंडेफिनेट देते थे ना, तो इसमें वो कागज़ लिखते थे कि आपका इंडेफिनेट ये डेट से हो गया है. सो वो ये भी कह सकते थे कि हाँ हमने सारे आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स देखे और आपका इंडेफिनेट हम मानते हैं कि 2017 में हो गया था. तो इसमें एडवांटेज क्या था कि वो लेटर से आप स्ट्रेट अवे आप अप्लाई कर सकते थे पासपोर्ट के लिए. मगर ये जो EU सेटलमेंट स्कीम है जो आपने फ़ोन पे किया है, तो इसमें तो जब वो प्रोसेस करते हैं तभी इंडेफिनेट देते हैं और आपका 1 ईयर तब से पास करना पड़ता है आपको.
जी 1 ईयर वेट करना पड़ेगा.
डेफिनेटली जी.
तो ये वाइफ का तो अभी तक नहीं आया, तो उसका
वो कब डाला था आपने वाइफ का? कब अप्लाई किया था वाइफ के लिए?
अगस्त में.
अगस्त में. से इतना वाइफ जब आपने इंटरनेट पे अप्लाई किया तो क्या आया था कि सेटल स्टेटस का कुछ लिखा था कि हम उसको सेटल स्टेटस देंगे कुछ?
नहीं, उसने अभी कुछ लिखा नहीं है. जब अप्लाई किया था मेरा और उसका सेम अप्लाई किया था ना, सेम. तो मेरा आ गया तो उसका भी नहीं आया. तो कोई कहते हैं कि और 1 माह के बाद आ जाएगा क्योंकि वो नंबर उसका आगे चले जाता है ना वो. क्योंकि वो जब मुझको वो दिया था वो नंबर, तो उसका नंबर बहुत तकलीफ.
राइट. I think one wait. अभी it's still early. 1 month wait कर लो आप, ठीक है ना?
जी 1 month wait करना है.
ठीक है जी. Thank you है आपके कॉल के लिए. Thank you very much. Thank you. That takes us to the end of this part of the show. We should be back in the next few minutes. I do apologise. We are going to carry on because I think I do apologise. We are going to carry on. I thought we were coming to an end, and I did cut that caller short. Just on that EU settlement scheme, so, if the caller is listening, it looks like some of these cases, in terms of processing time, seem to vary quite a bit. Generally speaking, people are getting decisions within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but if it transpires that the caseworker looking at this EU settlement application needs to look at your documents, then it does seem to take a little extra time. It seems to be, even looking at what the callers are saying, it seems to be that the processing time isn't 2 to 3 weeks. It seems to be more like 2 months. All you can do, and I said this during the first part of the show, all you can do is call the number that is on the government website, on the EU settlement scheme part of the government website, and ask them what's going on, and they'll give you an idea and they'll let you know if there's an update or not. So let's go back to what we were discussing before, the financial requirement where somebody wants to sponsor their husband or wife to come to the United Kingdom. As I said at the outset, it's 18,600 per annum. We looked at the kind of wage slips you need to submit and the key points as far as wage slips are concerned. Let's look at the other key document. You're sponsoring your husband or wife to come to the United Kingdom. You're earning 18,600. You've got your wage slips for the last 6 months. All good. Other key document is the bank statements. So quite simple. You need to submit your last 6 months of bank statements. But again, surprising how many refusals relate to there being a problem with the bank statements. So let's look at a couple of key points to bear in mind. The biggest point is the period which the bank statements cover. So what the rules say is that your bank statements, you're the sponsor in the UK, you're earning money, you're sponsoring your husband or wife to come over. Your bank statements aren't just any random period. It's the same period as the wage slips that you're relying on. So let's take the example where somebody is applying in October. And so they are relying on wage slips for April, May, June, July, August, September. Your bank statements must cover the whole of that period from, if somebody's getting paid monthly, from the 1st of April to the very last day in September without any gaps in there. So that's the key thing. It's not sufficient that you've submitted those portions of bank statements where you can see the net pay coming in. That's not what the rule says. The rules require the bank statements for the whole 6-month period to be submitted, which mirrors the period for which the wage slips are being submitted. So get the period of bank statements right. So that's the first key thing. Now the second thing, this used to be problematic before, less so now, is relating to the documents having to be originals. Things have changed slightly. Let's look at that after we take a short break.